morning, Kuhner country. Holy shamoli. Oh, ho, ho. You want to talk about mayhem in Minnesota. I mean, all hell has now broken loose. So we talked about this yesterday, and frankly, there's other stories I want to cover. But this is now becoming a massive public firestorm. It's unleashed a media feeding frenzy. It's consuming the Trump administration and the White House. It is now becoming a massive issue all across, not just in Minnesota, obviously, but across the entire country. So, as you know, as I speak to you now, Minnesota's really insane governor. He's tied to the Chinese Communist Party. He's a far left moonbat. Tim Tampon Walz is now embroiled in a massive political scandal. In fact, it threatens to completely destroy him and his entire career. He has now been caught, at a minimum, deliberately turning a blind eye to one of the biggest welfare fraud scandals in the history of the United States. They have now found, and it's only still the tip of the iceberg, they have now found that in the Somalian community in Minneapolis, billions, literally billions of dollars have now been stolen. It's a heist in which they were stealing from welfare, SNAP, the food program, the child nutrition program as well. This was money intended to feed hungry children, to feed, frankly, American citizens who need food assistance. And instead, they ripped off the money, lined their pockets by, and I'm talking, these are hundreds, if not now thousands of members in the Somalian community. But even worse, a lot of the money was then embezzled and siphoned off to warlords back in the mother country, Somalia, and especially to an Al-Qaeda affiliated group, an Islamic terrorist group, Al-Shabaab. To show you how much money was stolen from U.S. taxpayers, more money was sent to Somalia just from the Somali community, from the money they ripped off from the food stamp and the child nutrition program, the billions, than the entire government of Somalia took in or takes in from taxpayers in Somalia. That's how much money was stolen. Basically, our taxpayer money funded Al-Qaeda and Islamic jihadists who, by the way, are going around slaughtering people all across Somalia and outside the country's borders as well, on our dime. And Tim Walz knew about it at a minimum and deliberately did absolutely nothing. And the reason why he did nothing, as a prominent Minnesota Democrat actually admitted yesterday, I mean, we know this in private, but they even said the quiet part out loud. For a Democrat, especially a governor or a senator, or if you want to win statewide office, you have to win the Somali community. And if you win the Somali community, they are key to winning Minneapolis. And if you can't win Minneapolis, you can't win Minnesota. That's why they keep bringing in Somalis. Many of them are here illegally, or they're committing rampant visa fraud. As Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, put it, at least 50% of the visas are now fraudulent. So the Somalis are key to Tim Walz's political power or that of any Democrat. You win the Somalis, which they do, nearly 100%. That's the key. You win Minneapolis. You win Minneapolis. Essentially, you can outvote the rural areas. You win Minnesota. And that's why they kept the money flowing. That's why they allowed the fraud to go on. That's why, literally, they turned a blind eye for year after year after year after year. Now it is all coming out. And the extent and the level of the fraud is literally mind-blowing. President Trump now is saying he's had enough, that this is symptomatic of what is destroying not just the state of Minnesota, but the United States in general. That we as a nation have let in way too many third world immigrant groups who are not here to contribute. They're not here to be productive. They're not here to improve our nation, to give, to work. But instead, they are here to take, and leech off the system while they hate us in the process, while they attack our Constitution, our heritage, our history, our food, our culture, our lifestyle, our values. And that's Congresswoman Ilhan Omar to a T. And by the way, her district that she represents is the epicenter of this massive fraud scandal. So listen now to President Trump, because the war of words has now completely exploded between Democrats and the president. The media is now openly saying Trump is a racist, he's xenophobic, he's a bigot, he's a nativist, he's an Islamophobe, that he has no business or no right to scapegoat the Somalian community in Minneapolis. So, a reporter challenges Trump yesterday at the White House, saying that the moonbat mayor of Minneapolis, and this guy really, he's a moonbat's moonbat, Jacob Frey, wee you, I mean really, wee you, and I'm going to get to him in a second. No, Frey came out and didn't just call President Trump a racist, but he said he's proud to have Somalis, to have the largest Somali community in the United States. And that the police chief of Minneapolis has came out and delivered a press conference in which he's telling the Somali community, if you see ICE agents wearing masks, you call 911. You call us, the Minneapolis police, and we will intervene on your behalf against ICE. It's a full-scale rebellion. Listen now to Trump's response. Roll cut 3, Mike.
The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, is saying that he's actually proud to have the largest Somali community in the country, and his police chief...
Well, then he's a fool.
Well, his police chief is also saying...
I wouldn't be proud to have the largest Somalian. Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. Look, these Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They've taken billions and billions of dollars.
Okay, by the way, everything Trump said, completely accurate. But he continued his attack. Roll, and he mentions now, obviously, Ilhan Omar. Some people did something. Roll cut 4. Mike.
They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. It's a fraud. She tries to deny it now, but you can't really deny it because, it just happened. She shouldn't be allowed to be a congresswoman, and I'm sure people are looking at that. And she should be thrown the hell out of our country. And most of those people...
So he now says, and he's right, that she committed immigration fraud, she committed marriage fraud, and that she should now be barred from being a member of Congress. He's right. He now says it's time to kick her out of the country, and the Somalis in Minneapolis with her. And then Trump goes on and says, look, you want the truth? I'm going to tell you the truth. The Somali community in Minneapolis has destroyed Minnesota. The Democrats have destroyed Minnesota. Roll cut 5, Mike.
They have destroyed Minnesota, okay? Minnesota, you have an incompetent governor. You have a crooked governor. He's crooked as hell, but he's incompetent. Waltz he should be ashamed. That beautiful land, that beautiful state, it's a hellhole right now. And the Somalians should be out of here. They've destroyed our country. And all they do is complain, complain, complain. You have her. She's always talking about the Constitution provides me with... go back to your own country and figure out your Constitution. All she does is complain about this country. Without this country, she would not be in very good shape. She probably wouldn't be alive right now.
Now, this is what's now set off, just an absolute explosion. There's no other way to put it. That not just that he now says Ilhan Omar has to be kicked out of the United States and sent back to Somalia, but that the Somali community kick them all out. He says enough is enough. The illegals, we're going to go after them, but those that committed visa fraud, we're going to go after them. But he's basically now saying they are giving us nothing in Minneapolis. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, obviously I'm going to get into the media reaction, the reaction from Democrats, especially in Minnesota, to what Trump said yesterday, saying that Ilhan Omar now needs to be kicked out of the United States, that she came here on immigration fraud, marriage fraud. She clearly, and she said this repeatedly in speech after speech, her loyalty, she says, is to Somalia first and to the Somali community first. And Trump is basically saying we don't need members of Congress like this, and we don't need, frankly, communities like this. So listen now to President Trump saying, look, we have a major problem, not just with the Somalis, but with many third world immigrants who have been pouring into our country over the last 15 to 20 years, especially under the last 4 years of the 4 years of the Biden presidency. And this scandal is emblematic of what is destroying our country. They don't come to contribute. They come to go on welfare, to live off the taxpayers' largesse, and they're not assimilating. They're not interested in assimilating. In fact, quite the contrary. And not only are they robbing us blind, billions of dollars that literally are designated to help poor, vulnerable Americans, to feed hungry children, literally hungry children, to feed poor Americans. But then they send the money back. And who are they funding? Muslim jihadists who are slaughtering countless innocent people. I want them out, Trump said. I want them all out. I'm done. Listen to him now say that this all began under Barack Obama. This was his master plan. And he now is the anti-Obama. He wants to reverse all of what Obama has done in terms of the third worldization of the United States. Roll cut 6, a mic.
So Somalia is considered by many to be the worst country on earth. I don't know. I haven't been there. I won't be there anytime soon, I hope. But what Somalia, what the Somalian people have done to Minnesota is not even believable. It's not even believable. And a lot of it starts with the governor. A lot of it starts with Barack Hussein Obama, because that's when people started coming in. And you have to have people come in that are going to love our country, cherish our country. They want to kiss our country goodnight. They talk about our country. We want them to pray for our country. This is not the people living in Minnesota.
Look, I got to tell you, from everything I'm reading now, the response from the Somali community, they're almost playing right into Trump's hands. First of all, it's incredible how many of them are insisting on speaking in Somali. That's number one. Number two, they keep trashing our country over. I don't know what's wrong with these people. Over and over and over again. That we're racist, that we're xenophobic, that we're nativist, that they can't stand our culture. They don't like the fact that women here aren't covered up. They don't like the fact that they think our women have too many rights. I mean, they just can't shut up. And you've got to, after a while, say, look, if you hate it here that much, if you really hate our culture and our, the majority faith, which is Christianity, if you hate our faith, our religion, if you hate our Judeo-Christian heritage, if you hate our culture, if you hate our history, if you hate our food, if you hate everything about us, our customs, our traditions, there's the door. Leave. Like, who do you people think you are? Listen now to President Trump saying, and let me tell you who speaks for them. It's Ilhan Omar. And all you got to do is listen to just one of her speeches. This woman does not love America. On the contrary, she says it again and again. She hates white people. She hates Jews. And my God, she hates the United States. Roll cut 7, a mic.
And she's a disaster. She should not be, and her friends shouldn't be allowed. Frankly, they shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople. Okay? They shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople.
Now, Ilhan Omar now obviously has fired back. She's everywhere. I mean, she's everywhere. She's on CNN. She's on MS Now. The broadcast networks, they're going crazy with this. By the way, they wouldn't, ABC News, CBS News, NBC News, what a joke. They wouldn't touch the massive welfare fraud scandal. Okay, the billions and billions, one of the biggest in the history of the United States. The biggest in the history of Minnesota, that I can tell you. No. But now this, they are now rallying around some people did something. So, she's now on MS Now. Here's Ilhan Omar. Roll cut 8, Mike.
He's always been a racist, a bigot, a xenophobic, and Islamophobic. We know that he called African nations in his first administration. We know that when he came down that escalator, he said he was going to stop Muslim immigration into this country. And so it is not surprising that he is going after black immigrants in this country. And it's certainly not surprising that he's choosing a black immigrant community that is also Muslim.
It's incredible. It's just unbelievable. It's always the victim, They commit the fraud, but they're the victim. They've got roving gangs that have sent Minneapolis's crime rates skyrocketing, literally skyrocketing. And no, they're the victims. And not once, I dare anyone, here, any moonbat, any liberal listening, here's my challenge to you. Show me one time in the last week, 2 weeks, when this scandal has now been uncovered. 2 very quick points, and then you got to hear this. I'm telling you, the lines are already jammed. I promise I'm going to go to the calls as soon as I can. But when I say you got to hear this, you got to hear this. What's happening now in Minnesota, in Minneapolis in particular, is incredible. It really is. It's incredible. So, number one, you have this unbelievable scheme, this fraud that has now been uncovered. And it's not exclusively, to be fair, it wasn't just the Somali community that was involved. There were others, but primarily members of the Somali community. Hundreds now have been arrested. It looks like it could be into the thousands of people that were involved in this. So these are criminals. Let's be very clear, okay? And these are criminals who stole from the U.S. taxpayer. And then to compound their crime, they then sent billions of dollars to a foreign country to subsidize the gangs that are running wild there and Al-Shabaab, one of the most lethal, deadliest Islamist terrorist groups on the planet. Now, this should bring down any governor, any mayor that had anything to do with this. But instead, they are trying to turn this into a you hate black people. It's disgusting. It really is how they constantly play the race card over and over and over again. Now, it is getting so bad. I want you to listen to this, okay? This is Minneapolis's mayor. He's a man-child. He's like a little boy trapped in a man's body. He's got the maturity level of an 8-year-old. And he's a crazy leftist, sanctuary city, defund the police, pro-Black Lives Matter, seems to hate the fact that he's white. He keeps going on about how he's a racist because he's white. Literally, the color of his skin somehow makes him inferior to other people. He's a self-loathing, self-hating liberal. But now he goes on about, because as you know, Trump has now ordered Homan and ICE. They're going to hit Minneapolis hard with a major ICE immigration crackdown. They're going to go after the illegals, and they should go after the illegals and kick them all out. Every single illegal alien should be kicked out. Any Somali member of the Somali community that engaged in blatant visa fraud should be kicked out. Anyone who participated in this welfare fraud scheme should be kicked out. Or if they can't be kicked out because they're citizens, then arrested and spend years in jail. Like, enough is enough. This is out of control. This is third world style banana republic corruption. And by the way, it's bankrupting Minneapolis and it's bankrupting Minnesota. But Jacob Frey, that crazy mayor, now comes out and says, not only will the Minneapolis not cooperate with ICE when they hit Minneapolis probably in the next couple of days, but that he's ordering his police department to not cooperate as well. And then in the middle of his speech, you want to talk about pandering. You want to talk about being, sycophantic kowtowing. He starts talking Somali. I swear to you, in the middle of his speech. And by the way, he's addressing the whole city. The reporters are there. The media is there. In the middle of this thing. I don't know where this guy learned Somali. Well, hey, if you want to win in Minneapolis and you're a Democrat, you got to win the Somali community. So now we're going to speak in their language. God forbid they should learn English and speak in our language. Listen to this. You can't make it up. Roll cut 14. Mike.
That's not American. That's not what we are about. And we're going to do right by every single person in our cities. And so, to our Somali community, Daman Shabka, Somalied Kunul, Minnesota, Garahan, Minneapolis, Waan, Ku Janilahai, Waan, Ku Gereb, Taganahan.
One cougar. I have no idea what he's saying. One cougar and Hala. Like what? What the hell is that? Now, he's literally, that's how stupid they are. He's literally making Trump's point. They're not assimilating. So you mean to tell me that they can't pick up basic English to understand a press conference from the mayor? And many of them have been in Minneapolis now. We're looking at 25, 30 years. Now, I know under Obama, the resettlement program of the Somalis accelerated. There's no question. But still, many of them have been there for over 10 years, 15 years, many of them 20, 25, 30 years. And you have to speak to them in Somali? So let me get this straight. When the Italians came to Boston, and, most of them settled in the North End, tell me, were the mayors at the time talking to the Italian-American community? I don't know. Would they just break out in the middle of a speech and start talking to them in Italian? Well, I'm just asking. Tell me, when the Chinese came to the West Coast, when Asians, Asian immigrants came, did they just break out in the middle of a speech, the mayor of San Francisco or wherever, and just start talking Chinese? I mean, I could go on. Tell me, when Arab Americans started to come in big numbers in places like Detroit, did they just start talking Arabic in the middle of a speech? No. Because why? We're an English-speaking country. We expect you to learn the language. It's okay. My mother spoke with an accent. It's okay. People mock me. They say I speak with an accent. Let that go. My point is, fine. Your English may not be the best. It may be a little bit broken. It may have an accent. Who cares? But now we're so pandering to them. This is exactly Trump's argument. He goes, look, they won't even learn English. Look, that's how little effort they're making. And the mayor is basically reinforcing what Trump is saying. Because he's got to speak to them in Somali. Well, we're not in Somalia. Now, if you want to speak Somali, seriously, go to Somalia. But here in America, I'm sorry, we speak English. Now, you want to speak Somali inside your home, that's your business. But in our public day, in our public life, in everyday public, to function as a society, what are we now, going to start talking a million different languages? But this may be the most incredible of all. After Jacob Frey does his whole Somalia, I speak Somali routine, the Minneapolis police chief, Brian O'Hara, literally goes in front of the microphone with the cameras on, the entire media, and now tells the people of Minneapolis, and in particular the Somali community, that if they see ICE agents, and the ICE agents are coming, and they're wearing masks, don't call the police if you see a criminal. No. You call 911 if you see federal law enforcement. Here it is. Roll cut 15, a mic.
Folks that are masked, that they're not sure if they're law enforcement, that they may be kidnapping people. Like, we have had those reports. I want to be clear to the community. The community should know that if you see something like that is legitimate, that you don't know if someone is law enforcement, you should call 911. And you should provide as much information as possible, because let's not forget, we very recently had tragedy in this state by someone who was purporting to be law enforcement. So please, let's be clear. That's something everyone should report, and that we will immediately respond to, and we will document, whether it's somebody's not sure if there's a kidnapping happening, somebody's not sure if that there's law enforcement present or not. And that's something else, that's additional policy requirements that we are implementing, that we will document and report these types of things anytime that we hear it, and reminding our officers of their duty to intervene. So if there is anything that is a violation of someone's human rights or civil rights, excessive force or anything like that, they absolutely have a duty to intervene as police officers.
Arrest his ass. I'm telling you, arrest his ass. It is illegal to interfere with ICE or with federal immigration law enforcement. And the police chief literally just told the Somali community, you call our police, we're going to send our police, and they will interfere. If we deem it a human rights violation or a civil rights violation, what, you're going to start arresting ICE agents? Okay, let me ask all of you. Has Trump, in your view now, crossed the line when he says kick all the Somalis out? And in particular, he wants Ilhan Omar out, saying that her citizenship essentially should be revoked, that she committed immigration fraud, marriage fraud, her loyalty is clearly to Somalia, she is a terrorist sympathizer, a jihadist sympathizer, and literally spews nothing but hatred against white people, against Jews, and especially against America almost on a daily basis. Do you agree with President Trump? That's number one. Number two, what do you make of the fact now that the police leadership in Minneapolis, supported by the mayor, Jacob Frey, and, of course, Tampon Tim Walz, are now telling the Minneapolis police that if they get a 911 call from members of the Somali community And the Somali community now is complaining about ICE moving in and making arrests if they perceive a human rights violation, a civil rights violation, anything that they believe is unlawful, illegal, or they just simply oppose, that the police are now going to interfere with ICE. Is this open insurrection and sedition? 617-266-6868. And Sandy made a very good point to me off air, as usual. She said, look, Jeff, with Ilhan Omar's history of clearly racist, bigoted, anti-Semitic comments, and remember, she represents that community, primarily that community is located in her district, and they vote for her almost 100-0. She speaks for many of them. They like her. They support her. And she's reflecting what many of them are thinking and saying. And so, as Sandy points out rightly, who is she to complain about racism or bigotry after the hatred and the racism and the Jew hating and the anti-white discrimination and the anti-Americanism that spews out of her mouth almost on a daily basis? The last person who has any moral authority to cry about racism or bigotry is Ilhan. Some people did something, Omar. Agree? Disagree? Lou in Rhode Island. You're going to kick us off, Lou. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Jeff. Well, sir, about your questions. Well, he says Somali, but you got to go after the crooked Somalis first and see. And I think it's a great idea to review all these amnesties and pardons or whatever they gave out to these people when they came over here, not just for them, but for everybody who came over here. And it's really funny to see like the Democrats siding with these Somali crooks and along with the cartels from Venezuela who are bringing our drugs in. And see, this is really odd. And I think. And as far as the police, they swear an oath to the Constitution. The Constitution has the supremacy clause, which gives Congress own the sole power over immigration, not the local police. So let's remember that. And I think Trump could go over their head and say, we're going to deputize the Minnesota police and make them our agents of that have to work for ICE. But anyway, that's your questions. But I have a couple major things I have to mention. You mentioned Obama earlier, and I think what happened with Obama, and it is continuing to this day, is that the Democrat Party abandoned their initial base, which was working people in America, people who worked in manufacturing, and the type of people that Trump is now appealing to, and decided to import voters. And then when they come over here, no matter how crooked they are, how illegal, whatever illegal activities they do, they're just going to defend them and try to get them quick citizenship in this country and get them into the voting booth. And this will bypass their former base and many of the people in this country and give them majorities around the country. And that was Obama's plan. Now, a couple of things that you didn't mention today, and I'd like you to hear you talk about it. Number one, it's there are a lot of good people in this from Minnesota as well. The DHS workers, who the whistleblowers, who were saying that Walsh was in on this thing and he's the culprit and this whole thing was crooked for a while, a long time, but they were threatened. They were threatened by the administration there for revenge because they were telling on this thing. These are DHS workers. These are basically the DHS workers are mostly liberals. They're mostly Democrats, and they.
No, Lou, that's a great point. No, it's a very good point. And look, to be fair, because I always want to be fair, there were actually members even within the Somali community. This is now coming out as well, who were warning DHS, saying, you got to see the fraud that's going on here. Like, this is an insult to to me and to our, I don't want to be part of this. My parents didn't come here so that this could be going on and ripping off this country. So you even had members of the Somali community who were saying, this is going on for years. It is rampant. It is costing taxpayers billions of dollars. They tipped off DHS. DHS looked into it And I think there's 46 whistleblowers. Correct me if I'm wrong. And they came out and they warned Waltz. They told him, they go, you don't understand. We're not talking about a few bucks here and a few bucks there. This is systemic. This is rampant. This is very widespread. We're talking about billions and billions of dollars. And people need to understand this. They told this to Waltz years ago. I'm not talking last week or last month. And Waltz blew them off. He was, what are you bothering me with this? In fact, as you put it, he threatened them. Waltz openly threatened them, saying, you go to the media with this. You make a big deal about this. I'm going to make your life miserable. You're going to lose your jobs. I'm going to hound you. I'm going to persecute you and do what they're doing now, which is call everybody a racist. That's their playbook. That's their strategy. So then what these DHS workers did, to their credit, is when Waltz was picked to be, I'm drawing a blank. What's Kamala Harris? What the hell's wrong with me? Kamala Harris's VP. They went to Kamala Harris. And they went to her campaign. And they said, do you understand? You should not be picking Tim Waltz. They're like, why? There's a huge fraud scandal. Maybe the biggest in American history. Certainly the biggest in Minnesota history. And we're talking, billions have been stolen. And the worst part is it's being sent to Islamic terrorists in Somalia. And Kamala Harris's campaign blew them off and said, we're not interested. Now, the real part of this story, beyond the scandal now, it's going to consume Waltz. Waltz, I believe, politically is now finished. Okay, but we'll see. Is that the media was tipped off. There were members in the Somali community, to their credit, who were telling the local media and the national media, there's massive theft and fraud and abuse and embezzling going on here. And the governor knows about it. The mayor knows about it. The Democrats in Minnesota know about it. And nobody is doing anything. In fact, it looks like they're in on it. And the media systematically refused to report on it. They swept it under the rug. So, I understand Trump is very angry. I get it. But I'm not saying this to be politically correct. I'm being frank. There are good members in that Somali community who were blowing the whistle on top of the DHS. Not everybody, obviously, is a crook. But the point, the point is that the media refuse to tell the truth because their job is not to be reporters. Their job is not to tell the truth. Their job is not to investigate. Their job is to act as a mouthpiece for the Democratic Party. To protect. Shield. Deflect. That's why now, I don't care. You can watch This is CNN or MS Yesterday or whatever it is, MS Today or MS Tomorrow. They're always changing their stupid name. They never talk about the fraud scandal. That's the story. Trump's a racist. And they rush to the defense of Ilhan Omar, who frankly may be, I'm serious, the most despicable member of Congress. And that's saying something. Maybe even more despicable than, than Rashida Tlaib or AOC or Bernie, or Nancy Pelosi. I mean, that woman, you want to talk about a pure anti-American hater, a stone-cold racist. It's Ilhan Omar. There's no question. But no, they protect her at all costs. So you're completely right. No, look, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, is now investigating. The IRS is investigating. They're going to find the money. They're going to find how it went to Al-Shabaab. They're going to look into Tim Waltz. He's in big trouble. And this ICE operation now, no, they have to stop ICE because they don't want the extent of this scandal to be known. And I'm telling you, they are fomenting potential violence. That police chief is fomenting violence. That crazy mayor is fomenting violence. When you start telling the Somali community, and there are many illegals there, you call 911 and we're going to go after ICE, you're asking for trouble. And I'm telling you, you're going to get trouble. Lou, thank you very, very much for that call. I really appreciate it. 617-266-6868. Jimmy in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Jimmy, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Jimmy.
What they're doing in Minneapolis, especially the police department, that's exactly how the Civil War started. But Marco Rubio said there's between 31 and 38 million illegal aliens, and that's 41 to 49 Democratic congressional seats, and it's more than all the Europeans that ever immigrated to this country legally. And we have to acknowledge that some cultures are not compatible with us. Like I talked to men that were in the military in the Middle East, they perform clitorectomies on little girls, their feces throwing festivals, honor killings, and gang raping little boys, and death and defeat is like a way of life. He said, he was talking to an official there, political official, and he admitted to why they're so dysfunctional is they hired their cousin, hired their brother, for all governmental positions and worm their way into the business there. And they all look at America, the second and third world, especially third world, as we're here for the taking. And the Democrats have allowed an entitlement attitude. And I was 10 years old with New Jeff, so I remember the change as a little kid in the 60s. After the Civil Rights Movement, the Democrats they wanted a permanent underclass in these chauvinistic enclaves dependent on the government and creating resentment, to the point where, like I said, Caucasian people, like white people, they can say the most derogatory things about us and create policies that actually harm us. And enough's enough, you know what I mean?
Well, no, Jimmy, look, that's the hypocrisy and really the lie at the heart of the entire modern left is that they're the biggest racists on the planet. They hate whites. I mean, they really hate whites. And they view the world strictly through racial terms, through a racial lens. And you're right. They demonize whites, Europeans in particular. It doesn't matter, but white Americans, they think in groups, like they think in terms of group rights or collective rights or ethnic rights. And it's always white people bad. And that's what they teach in school over and over again, in colleges over and over again. White people are bad. I mean, who talks like this? You have good white people, you have bad white people. You have good black people, you have bad black people. You have, whatever your skin color is. You have good people and bad people from every race, every group, every ethnicity. It's just common sense. We're all made in the image and likeness of God. So we're judged as individuals. We should not be judged based on our skin color or our blood. That's a primitive, non-Western way of looking at the world. But, you mentioned something, and this is the part that gets everybody nervous. But everybody knows it's true. And they're all afraid to say it. And as I've said many times, if I'm not here to speak the truth, then what's the point of me being behind this microphone? There are some cultures, I'm sorry, but it's just a fact, that are incompatible with the West. And they're especially incompatible with the United States of America. And that's why when they come here, they have a very difficult time, almost impossible, but at least very difficult, assimilating. And many of them do not want to assimilate. And let me just give you a perfect example. Look at the 125,000 Afghan nationals that Joe Biden let in after his debacle and disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. Now, the evidence is irrefutable. There's story after story after story. I'm not just talking about that guy, Lachenwall, who murdered Sarah Beckstrom and badly wounded Andrew Wolf on Thanksgiving Eve, those two members of the West Virginia National Guard. I can give you story after story after story. There was one guy, an Afghan national in Northern Virginia, literally just at a traffic stop, took a gun out, didn't know what to do. Either he was going to shoot somebody or shoot himself, and eventually just blew his own brains out. And he was somebody, by the way, that we pulled out of that country. He was supposed to be, and one of those people that quote unquote helped us. And he left behind a note. And he said, I just can't assimilate in America. Like literally, he said Afghanistan is better than America. That he hates America so much he can't stand living here. So, and we've brought so many people like that into the United States. You know, and I want you to just stand back for a second. I'm not trying to be insulting. Much of Afghanistan does not have running water. They don't have indoor plumbing. I'm sorry, it's early in the morning. I'm not trying to gross you out. They go to the bathroom outside, as they say, in the outhouse. They don't even have toilets. And I could go on and on. Their major source of income is either heroin or goat herding. Okay? Goat herding. And you hate the United States? You can't stand to be here? There are some cultures that are locked or stuck in the Middle Ages. Afghanistan is one of them. And you can try to bring, and by the way, they don't want to learn English. It's over and over. They're mandated. They say, that, you know, it's part of your parole. You have to learn English. They don't want to learn English. Like because they go, why should we learn English? Because you see, this is hard for us to understand. In their minds, most of them, not all, but most of them, in their minds, well, I have Allah. I'm a Muslim. So I have all I need. I'm going to heaven. You're not. I have the religious moral truth. You don't. So don't talk to me about your English or about your culture or about your values of tolerance and separation of church and state and letting women drive and letting women vote and letting women get educated and letting women be free. What are you people talking about? You're all going to hell. That's how they see the world. So they have a sense of religious and cultural supremacy that we in the West it's so foreign to us, we can't even think like that. So they can come here and, you know, we look at them and we say, my God, you know, they just don't want to be part of American life. They hate everything about it, like Ilhan Omar. You press Ilhan Omar, she's going to say, no, I'm going to heaven. You're not. Blank off. So I don't care. You can talk to me about your First Amendment, your Second Amendment, your Constitution. You can talk to me all you want about your cars, your homes, your science, your electricity, your standard of living, your computers, your iPhones. You can go on and on about all of that. I have something you don't. I have Allah. You don't. And that's it. There's nothing else to say. I'm superior. You're inferior. I'm going to heaven. You're going to hell. What are we going to be on this earth for? 60, 70, 80 years if you're lucky? For infinity. I'm in heaven with Allah. Where are you? You're in the pits of hell because you're an infidel. That's how they see the world. Not all, but many of them. Many, many of them. Now, that's why they're not assimilating in Europe. It's a fact. Most of them, the migrants, the Muslim migrants that have been brought in, they're not assimilating in Germany. They're not assimilating in Sweden. They're not assimilating in Denmark. They're certainly not assimilating in France. They're not assimilating in Belgium. They're not assimilating in Great Britain. They're not assimilating in Canada. They're not assimilating in Australia. And they're clearly not assimilating here in the United States of America. And, you know, is Trump putting it a little bit crudely? Yes. Is he slightly overstating the argument, as often he does? Yes. But fundamentally, is he on target? Yes. In other words, is there a fundamental truth? There's no question. And he's just saying what many people are thinking. Like, if it's so freaking bad here and you hate it this much, and all you do is complain and complain and complain, which they do, then go back to Somalia. Like, I'm sorry, man. You come from maybe the poorest country on the face of the earth. It is literally run by warlords. It is a slaughterhouse. They have modern day slavery in Somalia. They have modern piracy in Somalia. Like, this is not an exaggeration. And you come here and you spit on our country? And when we tell you, hey, 90% of your community is on welfare, don't do it. Come here, work, have a job, sustain your family, pay your taxes. And their answer is, we're a racist. We're a bunch of racists. When we tell them, don't pray at 4 o'clock in the morning on a loudspeaker, you're waking up half the city. People can't sleep. You're waking them up in the middle of the night. It's inconsiderate. And their answer is, you're a racist or you're Islamophobic. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask all of you. Trump now says Ilhan Omar needs to be kicked out of the United States. She engaged in immigration fraud, marriage fraud. He says that she constantly speaks ill of our country. She's clearly a terrorist sympathizer. He says enough is enough. Rescind her citizenship and send her back to Somalia. Do you agree, disagree, or has the president crossed the line? And then yesterday, he said, I've had it. He exploded over more revelations of this massive welfare fraud scandal in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, billions and billions of dollars now in food stamps, welfare, child nutrition programs were literally stolen by many members within the Somali community, and some of it was sent back to terrorist organizations. Al-Shabaab is the name, basically Somalia's version of Al-Qaeda, which used it to buy guns, weapons, and engage in terrorist atrocities. Trump says, kick the Somalis out. Did Trump cross the line? 617-266-6868 is the number. All of this in a larger backdrop. ICE now is poised to hit Minnesota, especially Minneapolis. They are going to target many illegals, and they're looking to get some of the leading criminal illegal aliens, while the mayor of Minneapolis and the police chief say they will start arresting ICE agents if they perceive any civil rights or human rights violations whatsoever. 617-266-6868. Mark in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Hey, buddy. Good morning. How are you?
Very good. How are you, Mark?
Good. I'm sitting on 8 inches of global warming up here. It's nice.
Actually, and Mark, apparently we're gonna hit like an Arctic freeze over the weekend. So
climate change, Jeff. Climate change.
I mean, where's the global warming when you need it? You know what I mean, Mark? But my friend, please go ahead.
All right. So let's begin with this Ilhan Omar thing. How long have we known about her and this immigration fraud? Years, right?
Yes.
We've known for years. Since she ran for office, we've known that she, allegedly lied on her form. Why has nothing been done? Why has no one done anything about it, Jeff? Well, this is the problem that our party has, Jeff. Like we always say, they pound the podiums, they have their committee hearings, they run to the cameras, they point and say, look at this, look at this. You got the Biden crime family was a big thing. We were going to get him on that. You got Hunter Biden's laptop. We're going to get him on that. We got, Hillary's email server. We're going to indict her for that. Time after time after time, Jeff, nothing happens. They love to point out the fraud. They love to point out, all the atrocities committed by the left, but they don't do anything. They're afraid of votes. They're afraid of losing power, afraid of losing control. Oh, if they go after Omar, it's going to alienate some of the black community, and we may risk losing seats. And we don't want Democrats to have control of the House, Jeff. So, we'll make sure people know about it, but we won't do much about it. This woman, Jeff, has stood on a stage with the president of Somalia and has said, this is my president. She has stood on that stage and said, I will always vote in the best interests of Somalia. This is not a representative of the United States. This is a foreign agent, Jeff. She is there U.S. Capitol. But I guarantee you, Jeff, nothing is going to happen to her. They're going to talk about it, they're going to talk about it, and they're going to talk about it. That's it. And the media's going to use it as a way to bludgeon the Republicans as nothing but racists. And they're going to back off, and they're going to say, it's too close to the House elections. Want to jeopardize losing power.
Mark, you're on fire, by the way. And by the way, everything what you said about that she stood beside the president of Somalia and on stage and said, this is my president, you're completely right. And that I will always defend the interests of Somalia. She said that not even once. She said it repeatedly. And she said it both in English and in Somali. Okay, the Somali dialect. There are multiple tribes in Somalia, so their dialects are a little bit different. But she spoke in a particular dialect that I guess is the majority, tribal majority of this tribe from Somalia in her district. Mark, let me ask you this. Why is it that, and I'm not just saying Republicans, liberals, the media, the left, these moonbats, these idiots that are texting me now and emailing me, that they can't see the difference between race and culture? This has nothing to do with their skin color. There are some phenomenal immigrants from Africa. Nigeria is one of them. Nigerians are excellent immigrants. The Caribbean, I mentioned Haiti already. It's culture. It's not race. And the problem is the culture. And it's people from a certain culture. Why can't they just make that distinction? Instead, they let the Democrats paint the issue as racism every single time. What say you?
The problem with culture, Jeff, is it's a lot easier for the left and the media to identify the color of someone's skin than it is to identify, their Islamist behavior, Jeff. If they start to point out, well, look, Republicans aren't against black people. They're against black people that hate the United States. They're against people who want to, do our country in.
Mark, can you please hang on? I want you to finish your thought. We're up against it. Okay, let's go right back to Mark in New Hampshire. Mark, you were clicking on all cylinders. So I asked you, and I thought you were really on your way to really answering the question. Why is it that the media keeps playing the race card? Take with Ilhan Omar, or the issue of this massive welfare fraud that's now been exposed and uncovered within the Somali community, not exclusively. There are others involved as well, but primarily in the Somali community in Minneapolis. And it's always race, race, race. And how come Republicans can't just say, no, it's not about race, it's about culture. And some cultures are much more incompatible with the West than others. Has nothing to do with skin color. And you were saying because it's much more complicated, much more sophisticated, it's so much easier to just point to someone's skin color and then start bashing Republicans or bashing Trump. Please pick up where you left off, Mark.
Yeah, I think for the media and the left, if they had to actually look at and take into account what the real cultural differences are, I don't know that they could actually defend it, Jeff. You have an entire segment of the population that, for all intents and purposes, hates women. They don't want them to vote. They don't want them to drive. They don't want them to go to college. They don't want them just for breeding. That's all they think women are for, Jeff. They treat women worse than they would treat your pets. If Democrats had to actually defend that and say, no, they're perfectly compatible, there's no possible way. But the problem, Jeff, is you've got Republicans, they're just too afraid to tackle this issue. They won't address it head on. They'll be happy to sit there and say, well, we have our differences. Yeah, it's not about their skin color. Our bad element, that's all it is, Jeff. And make no mistake, even if they did bring up culture, you're going to have the media and the Democrats will be white Christian nationalists. Hey, you know who else had a problem with culture? Nazis, Jeff. Nazis had a problem with different cultures, too. And look what they did. Republicans are no better than Nazis, Jeff.
You nailed it. I mean, that's what it is with them over and over and over again. It's Trump is Hitler, Republicans are Hitler, conservatives are Nazis. And I don't think they realize, Mark, A, how off-putting that argument is to most Americans, and B, how reckless and dangerous it is. Because if you keep painting over half the country as a bunch of Nazis, you're really fomenting violence and really the breakup of the country. You're fomenting a civil war. I mean, eventually, because you're so dehumanizing over half the country. A, it's not true. What they're saying is a blatant lie. But on top of that, you are sowing some real hatred. Mark, as always, dynamite call. Mark, thank you so much. Bob in Kingston, thanks for holding, Bob, and welcome.
Jeff, a little cautionary tale here.
Yes, Bob.
You and Trump right now are creating a lot of sympathy for a tiny little population. 300,000 Somalis in the entire USA out of what, 400 million? It's not even a statistic. And all of Trump's rhetoric, we have an underdog mentality in this country. You beat up on the downtrodden, and we'll come after you there. So he's got to be cautious how he speaks. Right now, calling people garbage and that sort of thing, that doesn't fly. Not in this country, it doesn't. So you lose votes when you do that. So hopefully that'll stop. We need him. We need to get rid of Healy, and we need all the sympathy. We can't make ourselves look terrible.
Bob, I'm just curious, how would you describe what's going on in Minneapolis with that massive welfare fraud that's now been, I mean, we're talking, again, this is maybe one of the biggest in American history, and it went on for years, and nobody did anything. Everybody knew about it, and in fact, they aided and abetted it. What would you, if you were counseling Trump, how should he approach this?
Yeah, somebody's kicking back money to people in power. That's the only reason it's going on. They're letting it happen because somebody's got their hand in the Somali's pocket, you know? I mean, they collect the money, and then a big chunk of it goes right back to the party, probably, most likely. Where do they get the money to campaign? Comes from somewhere. You ever notice in this state, all the health care plans we have are headed up by one party over the other. Charlie Baker, the Republican, was getting $3 million to be the head of Harvard Pilgrim. Jim Roosevelt was the head of Tufts. And at one time, the senator from Hawaii's, with the bad arm, his wife was running Blue Cross and Blue Shield, you know? So where's that money coming from? Somehow they got their hand in it somewhere. It's a huge pile of money. And I guarantee you out there, those Somalis, they're a hiccup. They're not even a population. Tiny little minority, and whatever money they have, it's going into the landlords' pockets, just like in Boston and everywhere else. All that welfare money goes right into somebody else's pocket. Believe me, it does.
Bob, thank you very, very much for that call. I really appreciate it. Look, I think what Trump is saying, I mean, maybe he's not saying it, expressing it exactly the way many of us would like to, but what Trump is basically saying is it's not just the Somalis. What he's saying is we got many groups from third world countries. That's why he put out this list, 19 nations. He's now frozen all immigration, saying, I don't want them coming in from 19 particular countries. Looks like he's going to expand the list all the way up to 30. Some are in Latin America, some are in Africa, some are in the Middle East, a couple are in Eastern Europe, some are in Asia. But he's saying, look, they're here overwhelmingly, either as national security risks, i.e. Islamic terrorism. That's a big problem. And the other one is they're just coming in here to mooch. A lot of them are here to just basically be deadbeats. They're not being productive. They're living off the generosity and largesse of the taxpayer. And we can't have that kind of immigration. It's going to bankrupt us. So I think he's using the Somali issue as an example, but it's not just the Somalis. There's no question. So, but Bob, it's interesting that you're right. Americans do like the underdog. Americans don't like it if they see a group getting picked on. And so maybe this is going to blow up in Trump's face. We'll see. I think this scandal is so big, so rampant, honestly, so scandalous. This is going to take down, I think, it's going to take down walls. And I think it's going to hurt the Democrats in Minnesota and hurt the Democrats around the country. I think, but we shall see. Kevin in Cambridge. Thanks for holding, Kevin, and welcome.
Jeff, my friend, you just stole all my talking points.
Go ahead.
Hey, listen. Hey, my buddy. Hey, listen, first of all, we love you. We love you on X. We love all your polls. We love everything you do, my friend.
Thank you, Kevin.
Of course. So, listen, I've worked in healthcare software sales, so I'm a sales guy. So, of course, I compliment you first, right? But listen, I've been going to Minnesota in my territory since 2015. And I have to tell you, this has been building up. This is nothing new. This is not something that has just happened over the past 12 months. This has been building since around 2014, 2015. They have been dominating the state of Minnesota. They've been dominating St. Paul, Minnesota. These are bad people. They're not there for anything good. They're not there to embrace America. It's the antithesis. So now, all of a sudden, it's in the forefront. But we shouldn't just be focused on this and the Somalis as a culture and as an individual for the moment. Jeff, this has been building up for the last 10 years. We have to admit this.
Kevin, if you don't mind me asking, if you could just drill a little bit deeper, when you go to Minnesota, when you go to Minneapolis, or you go to St. Paul, and you say there are some bad people, give me some of the bad acts that you've seen. What is it that's going on there that people need to understand? What are some of the bad stuff that you're seeing?
Of course. So you fly from Logan, you fly directly into St. Paul, Minnesota, Minneapolis airport. You get picked up at the airport from a taxi or from an Uber, and everyone basically turns around in the cab and says, "I'm the captain now." Same faces that you see in that Captain Phillips movie. They scare the hell out of you. They say, "Where are you going?" You say, "The Hilton Hotel downtown by the ballpark." And they say, "Okay, well, take this book," right? And they hand you a book of Islam, of Muslim. And you say, I don't want this. I'm Catholic. And I say, "Just take me to the airport. Take me to the airport hotel, wherever it is." And they say, No. You have to believe this.
Wow. Whoa. Kevin, can you please hang on? I'm up against a hard break. Hey, Kevin, I didn't know it was that bad. I mean, I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was that bad. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go right back to Kevin in Cambridge. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating call. Kevin is a salesman. He travels around a lot. In particular, one of his territories is Minnesota, in particular Minneapolis, St. Paul. And he's saying that this has been building now, this problem with the Somali community, but not just the Somali community. The corruption, the fraud, the mismanagement, the way Minneapolis, St. Paul has been run into the ground. This has been building now for over 10 years. Kevin, I just, if you don't mind, I want to nail down something that you said before we went to break. So when you land at the airport, at the Minneapolis airport, and so you get into a taxi cab, usually it's, somebody of Somali descent. And they will tell you right away, "I'm the captain, you're my passenger. Basically what I say goes." And then they start giving you, is it a Quran that they're giving you? Or are they giving you just Islamic or is Muslim literature? So they give you something where, and when you say, "I don't want it, I'm not Muslim," they insist on giving it to you. Is it what? A pamphlet? Is it pro-Muslim literature? or is it the Quran itself? I'm just curious.
It's not a physical Quran, Jeff. It's a semblance of it. It looks like almost like a welcome to the Quran booklet, and they pause the car, and it makes you feel uncomfortable because they say you have to take this. And look, I just got off a flight. I'm not into this whole thing. I'm Catholic, and you say just take me to the hotel. He goes, no, you have to take this. So you know what, man? After 2 trips, I said, you know what? Yeah, give me the book, and I'll take it back to the hotel. Whatever we do, right? And then they drop you off, and they say, you have to study this. And they say, this is our city. This is our town now. This is truth. This is what's happening.
Now, Kevin, just back up for a second, please. But you're on fire, by the way. So they literally tell you in the cab, after they give you this, basically a Quran 101, a guide to the Quran booklet. This is our city. This is our town now. Is that you paraphrasing, or is that exactly how they say it?
Verbatim. Since 2015 until current day, because I don't have the territory now, thank God, but for the last 10 years I had, and it was every single trip into St. Paul, Minneapolis. It was the same thing. I felt uncomfortable, Jeff. You know, if you fly to Logan, you tell the cabbie, you say, you know what, take me to wherever, Rentham, take me to wherever it is, right? And you go home, you sleep. These guys are saying, I'm not going to drive you until you take this. This has been building up for the last 10 years, so this should be nothing new. And I feel like we all knew about this. Ilhan Omar got in because there were, Joe Biden had open gates going into Minnesota. It was almost like they dumped them there. Somalia is on the east coast of Africa. Why in hell would you want to go to Minnesota where it's freezing, right? Unless there's an agenda behind it. It's not about Somalians or the people in general. I'm sure there's some good ones in there, right? I'm sure there's some good people in there who want to be here and want to do well.
Yes, I agree with you. I completely agree with you, Kevin. Keep going.
Jeff, they are not accepting. They're under the guise and leadership of Ilhan Omar, who said Trump is a deranged man who's old. She said, I'll outlive him in office, and I'll be here because I have the backing of all these illegal Somalians. Jeff, if you're here illegally, you need to go. It doesn't matter. I have friends from Poland. I have friends from different countries who spent 5, 6, 7 years who went through the process to be an official American legally. They went through the process. These people come here, and you see them riding in the streets, and all the Democrats want to do, Jeff, and I'm sorry to speak so long, but all the Democrats want to do, Jeff, is cause chaos. That's all they want to do in the streets. They know that they're defeated, so they say, you know what, we're defeated. George Floyd, he was not a hero, right? He died because of an overdose. He was a drug addict. He didn't get killed by the cops. We have to start opening our eyes and rallying as Americans, because these people cannot take over our lives and our Constitution. We have to get rid of them now.
Kevin, thank you very much for that call. 6-1, really, really good call. Look, I'm just giving you the headlines now, okay? And by the way, this is from the press in Minnesota, all the local media, and it's like in Massachusetts and pretty much California. Although California, you will have a conservative paper here or conservative paper there or a conservative media outlet. So it's a little more diverse, but it's like here in Massachusetts, uniformly liberal. The local media, on top of the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Associated Press, USA Today, of course, CNN, MS, whatever, yesterday, now, tomorrow, whatever. So they're saying that the Somali community, quote, is afraid of the ICE raids, that they're living now in fear and trepidation of the ICE raids. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. If you're legally in the country, what are you afraid of? No one's going to touch you. You're here legally in the United States. Nobody should touch you. If you're here illegally, and that's the problem, is that there are many Somalis, or in that community in particular, that are here illegally, or, and this is what they're worried about, you committed visa fraud. to me, the quote of the week, I can play it again, but you've heard it, you know it, is Kristi Noem at the cabinet meeting a couple days ago when she said, no, we've done our investigation, Department of Homeland Security. We believe now about 50% of the visas. So that means these are technically, legal, I'm putting it in air quotes, legal residents or legal immigrants in the Somalian community in Minneapolis. 50% of them, it's visa fraud. That's what they're worried about ICE. A, there's a lot of illegals, period. And B, what if they arrest me or whatever, detain me, and I show them my papers, and suddenly they do an investigation, and I'm one of the 50%. That's 1 out of 2. That's 1 out of 2. I committed visa fraud. And by the way, that's what Ilhan Omar did. That's what her brother did. That's what her family did. That's how she got into the United States. She committed visa fraud. Immigration fraud, visa fraud, it's the same thing. She committed visa fraud to get into the United States. She lied about who she was. She changed her last name. She didn't want it to be known that she was the daughter of her father, who was part of one of the most murderous Marxist dictatorships in all of Africa. He was a notorious war criminal. And so to come into our country, because they were stuck in a refugee camp, she changed her last name and hid the fact of who her family was, because they do a background check if to allow a quote-unquote refugee into the United States. So what I'm saying is 1 out of 2 in Minneapolis, according to Kristi Noem, committed the exact kind of visa fraud that Ilhan Omar, some people did something. That's why there's full of fear and trepidation. If you were on the up and up, here, I came to this country legally. My wife came to this country legally. Go through my papers. Talk to my lawyers. I've got nothing to hide, man. It was all above board. I'm not complaining. I love this country. You know how much I love it. But I paid through the nose. I paid, and I'm happy I paid. I'm not complaining. But I'm just saying, I got receipts. I got everything. Take a look. There was not a scintilla of fraud. So that's why they're worried. You see, if you're honest and you're clean and you did it the legal, proper way, you're in America. God bless you. I wish you all the success in the world. But they're nervous because many of them know that they're corrupt and they're scamming us. And they're now afraid that their scam and their fraud is going to be exposed. And you're right, Kevin. They got to go. Every illegal or everyone who committed fraud needs to go. Ken in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Ken, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Why, that's a call that's tough to follow up, wouldn't you say?
That was a great call.
Woo!
That was best audience in the business. So, all right, now go ahead, Ken.
Well, you've had so many calls that would make people pessimistic. So I'm going to come from the optimistic. In other words, the offensive. You're in Massachusetts. There are many states bluer than Massachusetts. Would you agree?
Many states bluer than Massachusetts?
No, I'm saying there aren't many.
Oh, not many. Yeah, I was like thinking, Ken, could you name me one? Yeah, not many. No, you're right. I would say, look, honestly, us, California, Oregon, and I can't believe it, but Minnesota. Minnesota now, holy mackerel. But no, we're up there. You're right, Ken. We're deep, deep blue. You're on a roll. Go ahead, my friend.
How do we reach as many people as possible around you? So let's separate the situation. When you're directly to your closest relatives, I would suggest back off, unless you think it could be possible. But you know what? You got neighbors. All of us have neighbors. All of us have people in our town. No one would have thought just 2 years ago it was possible that Trump would win in Fall River? Are you kidding me? And there are plenty of towns in Massachusetts where It's not going to take much. So here's the point. You go directly to your neighbors and you tell them, do you like pickpockets? No, I don't like pickpockets. Well, look what's going on in Minnesota. They're nothing more than pickpockets. You stand against that, don't you? So get to the bottom of it and win them over that way. Because here's the thing. Should the people that we're talking about go back home? There's a simple question, and their reporters are asking the question. Which is it? What do you support more, Sharia law or our Constitution? And you know what? The Somalis, almost all of them in Minnesota are saying, oh, Sharia law, absolutely. Because they have to. Back home you go. This is such a simple argument to make and just make fun of Elmer Fudd Waltz. I mean, there's so many things about this that we can just laugh about. So you do it two-pronged. You tell them they're pickpockets and you laugh at them. And then the people who, because you know what? It's close to 60% of the Massachusetts voters are independent. That means they don't have courage. But when they see people who do, hey, maybe that's the right side. And before you know it, you turn Massachusetts red. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's possible.
Oh, listen, I agree with you. Honestly, I agree with you. I think you're right. I think there are a lot of independents in Massachusetts. By the way, there's also a lot of independents in Minnesota. And I got to give the devil their due. I do. I have to give the devil its due on this. The Democrats are very good at controlling the media. And I think one of the reasons why, and I'm not tooting my own horn, I'm just being brutally honest with you, Ken. One of the reasons why the Democrats in this state, in collusion with the rhinos, and the rhinos have played a key role in this, Boston Herald numero uno, is they've been doing everything in their power to try to muzzle my influence, because they realize that if more people listen to this show, I get this all the time. People email me, people text me, people message me. A friend said to listen to your show, a family member, a colleague. So I decided to give you a chance, and I'm hooked. And you know what? At first I thought you were crazy, but then I began to listen to you, and more I'm like, I agree with you. You know, maybe not 100%. They'll say I agree with you 80% or 90% or whatever. But they go, I agree with you a hell of a lot more than I disagree with you. They don't want that. They don't want that. The thing that's shocking about Minnesota, you can look it up. There is no conservative media outlet there whatsoever. Nothing. So one of the problems is, you go like, how does a buffoon like Tampon Tim, how does this guy get reelected? How does this guy, become the governor 2 terms and he wants to run for a 3rd? Because most of the people are left in the dark. They have no freaking clue. To them, apparently this scandal's been going on for years, this welfare fraud. They're just hearing about it now. And it's through it's through Trump and the Republicans and the Oversight Committee and the investigation. And so it's been like, Fox News and my show and others. So it's been through the national media, the conservative national media. And that's what's driven this story. And now this scandal's gone everywhere. But now they're hearing about it for the first time. And now, for the first time, Waltz's numbers are plummeting. Because they're like, what? What's going on in our state? What the hell's going on in Minneapolis? How much money? What? Billions of dollars? The killer statistic, the one that people in Minnesota can't wrap their mind around, is that they stole so much money and then sent billions of it back to Somalia that literally taxpayers have sent more money to Somalia than the government of Somalia collects in tax revenue from the entire country. That's how much they stole from the taxpayer. And they're like, you talk about robbing us blind. So you're right. That's why if we get our message out, and we get and we tell people what's really happening. The expression, the truth shall set you free. We need truth. and the Democrats and the media are afraid of the truth. Ken, thank you very much for that call. And once people hear the truth, it's going to change how they vote. It's inevitable. Robert in Maine. Thanks for holding, Robert, and welcome. Robert? I think he's sleeping. He is. He's listen. He fell asleep. This is last time no one's ever called me boring. Let's try. Mike, can you try? Hello, Robert. Robert. Mike's going to yell into the phone now. He's going to try to wake him up. Honestly, the last thing I've been called is boring. I've been called everything, but boring, no. Jerry on Cape Cod. Thanks for holding, Jerry, and welcome.
Comrade.
Comrade, how are you, my friend?
I am good. Jeff, 3 things I want to make a point about. First of all, Somalia. You're right about Somalia, a failed state. Ilhan Omar, everything you said about her is correct. I just want to make one correction. It was her grandfather who was a colonel in the Somali army, and they went to a refugee camp because they would have gotten killed. The President Trump, when he said she would be dead right now, that's what he was referring to, I think. But, Jeff, all of these people in Minneapolis that stand against ICE, they need to be charged with 18 U.S. Code 2383 and lock them up. The police chief, the officers, the mayor, whoever gets in ICE's way, you lock them up. Enough is enough. But, Jeff, I want to make a point about Afghanistan, too. Back in the late 1970s, when I got out of the military, I got a job with this big corporation, and I had some Afghan refugees who were members of the Northern Alliance. You remember the Northern Alliance
Yes.
that fought the Russians and the Taliban and Al-Qaeda?
Yes, and they helped us overthrow the Taliban, and then we just abandoned them.
Well, we had some of... Jeff, they were the salt of the earth people. They were salt of the earth people, the ones that I knew. They were good people. These ones now that they're importing, oof, who knows? And Jeff, the other thing I wanted to make a mention of, there's a silent jihad going on right now. They've built, I was telling Mike this off air, 29 mosques have been built in Haiti.
In Haiti?
Yes, Haiti.
Haiti has never been a Muslim country. This is so are they bringing in Muslims into Haiti too now?
And they're also converting the Christians and the people that believe in voodoo and the primal religion that they have there, because that's all it is Christians and people who believe in voodoo. But they're converting a lot of people, rapidly converting a lot of Haitians to Islam. And we have what? How many hundreds of thousands do we have on the temporary protected status? 500,000 here from Haiti, Jeff?
Yeah, but my understanding, Jerry, those are all either, as you said, Catholics. Most of them are Catholics, or they believe in some indigenous or native voodoo. I think very few of them are Muslims. Am I wrong?
I don't think any of them are Muslims. I think it's like they're either Christians or they believe in the tribal medieval voodoo. I don't know, Jeff. I think we're barking up the wrong tree here.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, there's obviously a concerted effort to Islamicize the United States and now to Islamicize slowly the Western Hemisphere. I think there's no question. Okay, is he awake? Mike, did you do it? Did you act as his alarm and wake him up? Robert in Maine.
Hi, Jeff. Yeah, but Mike's a great guy. All your staff are great. Listen,
Mike, am I that boring that you fell asleep? I'm just curious.
No. But listen, it's really funny. Yeah, well, it's our side. Defending the points on our side of looking at politics is really easy because it's logical. There's a lot of truth behind it. All the stuff you and your callers bring up. And the other side, the list of stuff that you could even possibly just in a little way support is tiny, really tiny. And we, and to me, that shows how diluted, how how really deluded these people. In fact, it's a criterion of, I think, of the fact that it's no longer just a syndrome. For the really severe ones, the ones on the severe end of the spectrum, it's really more like an illness, like a disease. But the reason...
Robert, can you hang on? We're going to come right back to Robert. All right, let's go back to Robert in Maine. Robert, I'm not kidding. I'm getting texts from people saying... When I went to you the first time and you were sleeping, you were snoozing, they thought Joe Biden had called into the show. They thought it was Joey on the other line. But anyway, Robert, are you awake or did you fall asleep again?
Hey, my friend Jeff, thank you so much for taking my call. Hey, your team, listen, this is a serious point, though. When the founding fathers were putting together this country and fighting King George and all, they went through some pretty hard times, but they knew that our idea of the best form of government, or at least better than what we had back then, was in a crisis area, and we're in a crisis now. But you know what? The fact that you and your team still have a sense of humor, I think, augurs really, really well for success on our part. And I just wanted to bring that point up so people won't get too depressed over it. These deluded, sick people on the other side. The other thing is that we have a lot of practicality on our points that we make. For instance, back when the Italians and other people were coming in, some of them didn't learn English perhaps back then, but they didn't need English at the jobs that they were filling here in the United States when we needed them more. The legal immigrants now that are coming in legally, a lot of their English is better than some of our English. As you probably know, they're educated, they're decent people, and a lot of the legal immigrants are people that we need and we want. So that's just a practical point, and I think that adds to our good sense of humor during this critical fight, the fact that our points also have practicality, which is why they're so easy to defend. I just wanted to mention those.
Well, that's a great point. No, you're right. Look, as I speak to everyone now, Tim Walz's political career is going up in smoke. He doesn't know how to deal with this because he's up to his eyeballs in it. He's too stupid, frankly, to deal with it. Somebody earlier called him Elmer Fudd. He really is Elmer Fudd. I mean, the guy, where was he when God was handing out brains? And now it's his incompetence is being exposed. And, it's not just, Republicans in Minnesota that are turning on Walz. They've hated him for years. It's the crucial ones. It's independents. Even many moderate Democrats are saying, my God, this is unacceptable. And the fraud now has been exposed. It is going to get rooted out. And many of these illegals and fraudsters in the Somali community are now going to get deported. So, yeah, the problem's been festering, as Kevin in Cambridge said, for a long time. But now ICE is going to roll in. Trump is going to drop the hammer. And these criminals, these thieves, these con artists and grifters are going to be, they love Somalia apparently so much anyway. So it's no skin off their back. Now they're going to be sent back to Somalia. So what I'm saying is it's going to make Minnesota better and it's going to make America better. That's why ultimately I'm optimistic. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Bill in Sudbury. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, Jeff. How are you
Bill.
today?
I'm good. How are you, Bill?
I'm calling to tell you the weakness of your argument. This is the part you don't say, and this is the weakness of your argument. Yes, of course, Minneapolis is a vicious hellhole. But last week it was Medford, Massachusetts. The week before that it was New York. The week before that it was Chicago. The week before that it was D.C. The week before that it was L.A. The week before that it was Portland. And that's not even mentioning Caracas. So your guy is basically just throwing dots at the map now, all the places that he disapproves of, and you say that you're surprised that the president of the United States can dominate a governor or a mayor. Every time he does it, you're so impressed that the president can make every mayor or governor look foolish if he chooses to.
Okay, Bill, honestly, I don't understand the second part of your point, but let's just address the first part. Let me ask you this, Bill. Caracas. Hellhole or not a hellhole?
I'm saying, Jeff, you heard the list.
Yes,
okay?
Caracas was on the list. I'm going by your list. So I'm just
Right,
asking you a question. Bill, please, come on. Bill, come on. You called. You made your point. I gave you all the time in the world. And you're claiming I'm making all this up, that these cities are not hellholes, that we're just making stuff up as we go along. Okay. So let's just go city by city. Is Caracas a hellhole, Bill? Yes or no?
It's so bad we should attack them preemptively.
I didn't say we should attack them. Actually, Bill, if you
like globalists.
Bill, please stop. This is what I'm saying, man. Like, this is, listen to yourself. Look, first of all, I said I'm against a regime change war. I've said it multiple times. I don't think we should attack Caracas. But you're now shifting the issue. You said, I'm just going by what you said, that I'm claiming that these places are hellholes, and they're not. So I'm just asking you, let's stick to your original point. Is Caracas a hellhole? Yes or no?
Telling you the same thing for any place he chooses. He now can pick
Bill, fine. Listen, please. You listed about 7 or 8 cities. I'm going by your list. Is Caracas, I'm starting with number 1. Is Caracas a hellhole? Yes or no?
One was Medford, Massachusetts.
I'll get to Medford. You sound rabid. Bill, is Caracas a hellhole? Yes or no?
I think we should unilaterally attack Venezuela.
I just told you we shouldn't attack Venezuela preemptively. You keep skipping the issue. You called in and said I named 7, 8 cities. This is the problem in my argument. You're saying they're not hellholes. Okay, so I'm going through your list. Can you just answer the question? Is Caracas a hellhole? Yes or no?
Yes, it is, but I do not agree with the president.
So how about the south side of Chicago, Bill? Is that a hellhole? Yes or no?
Is Minneapolis worse or better than Chicago?
Hold on, relax. I'm asking you a question. South side of Chicago, where all the killings take place, highest murder rate in North America. Is that a hellhole, Bill? Yes or no?
I'm not impressed when the president punches
I'm
down
asking again. I'm going by your list, dude. Is it a hellhole? Yes or no? 617-266-6868. Couple lines are open if you want to jump on. Okay, very quickly, because I want to go to the phone lines. This is Alex Wagner on MS Now. As I said, MS yesterday, today, tomorrow. So, and this is very typical. This is what's coming now from the New York Times, the Washington Post. These are all Democrat talking points. The entire establishment, fake news media, that Trump is not just a racist against the Somali community, but that literally by sending in ICE now, according to them, and trying to deport a lot of these illegals in the Somali community, this is now ethnic cleansing. This is now a form, I swear to you, of racial purification. And that this is all part of Trump's white supremacist neo-Nazi agenda to not make America great again, but to make America white again. So this is the hate, the bile that they're spewing day after day, night after night. Notice they can't deal with the merits of the case. They can't deal with the facts of the fraud, the extent of the fraud, the involvement of Waltz, of key Democrats, how so much of this has stemmed and comes within the Somali community itself. None of that they can deal with. So now it's Trump is Hitler, sending in ICE is his SS, and they are now engaging in ethnic cleansing / racial purification. Listen now to Alex Wagner. Roll cut 17, Mike.
Child separation was such a scandal that it's actually, I think, the only policy that Donald Trump himself reversed himself on in a first term.
Yeah.
They're doing that in such a scale across the country from coast to coast, targeting so many communities, sweeping up American citizens. Very few of the people being rounded up are actually guilty of any crime.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some, and that's where the public support is, but the vast majority of people they're deporting have committed the civil offense of being here illegally, and some of them not even that.
Yeah, some of them are American citizens. I think what's really important to contextualize this in the big picture, which is the White House is embracing ethnic cleansing. I mean, that is what is happening here. This is make America white again. And it's sort of by any means necessary. It's under the auspices of immigration reform and getting the garbage out. But it's really about targeting black and brown people and allowing white Afrikaners into the country. I mean, those are the priorities of this administration. And they'll find any way in which to do it, whether it is constitutional or not.
63 white Afrikaners have been admitted into the country. 63. 63. In a nation of 340 million. There's your there's your make America white again. You can't, these people are insane. Either they're insane, I swear to you, or they're paid professional liars who are just there to spew hatred and disinformation. So, but this is now their line. Their line now is, they just keep escalating the rhetoric. Now it's, you send in ICE to deport these illegal Somalis, and now we're talking racial purification, neo-Nazism, ethnic cleansing. So, let me ask you, it is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Is revoking the citizenship of, or deporting those Somalis who have taken part in the massive fraud ring in Minnesota, is it ethnic cleansing or is it sound immigration policy? A, ethnic cleansing. B, sound immigration policy. To me, I think it's self-evidently B. I mean, do you really want people who are stealing billions of dollars from the taxpayer and engaging in rampant welfare fraud and abuse? Do you really want them in our country? Like, are those the kind of immigrants that we need? I think it's pretty self-evident. Okay? But anyway, that's me. But I'm not a moonbat. So I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, KUHN as in national ER. I was again active on X. I'm always active on X. You can vote via X as well. My handle there, all one word, at the Kuhner Report, at the Kuhner Report, KUHN as in national ER. You know, just very quick. How many times have they played now the Hitler card? How many times have they played now the white supremacist card? It doesn't work. Have they learned nothing? And it seems to me they're hell-bent on more violence. Because the more you keep spewing this stuff out, you know, if you're a moonbat a la Bill in Sudbury, and you're watching MS today, or MS yesterday, and you're watching, you know, these haters, and that's all you get your information from, and sadly for many moonbats, that's all it is. You're like, oh my God, this is ethnic cleansing. Oh my God, this is the modern day SS. Oh my God, this is Hitler. This is the Nazis. What they're doing is they're spreading hate. They're dehumanizing the president. And they're saying, as far as they can possibly go, somebody needs to take him out. Deporting illegal aliens is not ethnic cleansing, stupid. It's the law. 617-266-6868. CJ in Boston. Thanks for holding, CJ, and welcome.
On the issue of insanity, I just want to let Bill and Sudbury know that the attendants have found the keys to the front door, Bill. So anytime you want to check back into the asylum, they're ready to let you in.
Yeah.
Not only that, you know, Bill, yes, New York's a cesspool. These democratic cities and towns and states are cesspools. They're all democratic because they chose They chose to take in these illegals, to take federal money, to get them to vote. They could ruin our country. You know, just like the un-Americans like you, Bill. Just like the un-Americans like you. But, Jeff, where the President of the United States has acknowledged yesterday, again, that Ilhan Omar fraudulently got into the United States of America, America wants to know what the hell is he going to do about it. She should be the first on the list to be arrested. And what makes this even worse, she's just not an ordinary citizen who came across the border supposedly illegally. She is a member of Congress responsible for making law in this country. She needs to be removed from Congress first, arrested right in the halls of Congress, drag her ass out and deport her back to Somalia. Now, Jeff, there are reports that there are only 1 out of 10 Somalians that are working. What about the children? How many tens of thousands of these Somalians do we have on the dole that we are paying for? And you're right, they don't assimilate. And that is a shame. Anyone applying even for a green card in the United States of America should learn to speak English. What the mainstream media is really saying about making America white again, they're basically saying, let's make America unwhite again. Because if they're not defending the Obreco Garcias, the illegals that come across the border from the south, they're defending terrorists. They are defending anyone that can give them a vote. You know, you got a guy going in front of Congress. I just want to deviate for a minute. You have an admiral now who's going in front of Congress today to explain why they hit a drug boat twice. So what's America's engagement policy going to be in the future?
Well, you know, CJ, look, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to go to Andrew in Taunton, but just before I do, I want to replay this cut. I played it, I believe, in my opening monologue. If not, it was the second segment of the show. Probably, what is it, maybe 6:20 or 6:25. This is Trump yesterday at the White House, where, I mean, he really lit into Waltz, Ilhan Omar, and the fraud that is now being unmasked in the Somali community, or at least members of the Somali community. And he's had it. He's had it with all of them. Listen now to Trump saying they have destroyed Minnesota. Roll cut 5, Mike.
They have destroyed Minnesota, okay? Minnesota, you have an incompetent governor. You have a crooked governor. He's crooked as hell, but he's incompetent. Waltz he should be ashamed. That beautiful land, that beautiful state, it's a hellhole right now. And the Somalians should be out of here. They've destroyed our country. And all they do is complain, complain, complain. You have her. She's always talking about the Constitution provides me with, go back to your own country and figure out your Constitution. All she does is complain about this country. Without this country, she would not be in very good shape. She probably wouldn't be alive right now.
Now, by the way, the alive part, he's talking about the fact that her family was involved, again, in one of the most brutal Marxist dictatorships in the 20th century in Africa. And they killed a lot of people, a lot of Somalis, and a lot of Africans. And so there'd be tremendous payback. Had she not escaped to the United States through that refugee camp, she's dead. That's what he's referring to. Now, his larger point, that he wants Ilhan Omar out. He wants many, if not the entire Somali community, out. And that, and listen to him. I just want you to be fair to him. Listen now to Trump saying, look, what they have done to Minnesota is a crime. They don't want to assimilate. They don't want to become part of the United States. They clearly have deep attachments to Somalia. They have attachments to customs and traditions. They don't even want to learn the language, many of them. 90% of them, at least in Minneapolis, or whatever, 88% are on welfare. And he said all of this started with Barack Obama. This was deliberate. He wanted to begin the third worldization of our country, and that's why you started to see unlimited immigration from the third world. And they deliberately chose city after city and which groups to insert in what cities. Roll cut 6, Mike.
So Somalia is considered by many to be the worst country on earth. I don't know. I haven't been there. I won't be there anytime soon, I hope. But what Somalia, what the Somalian people have done to Minnesota is not even believable. It's not even believable. And a lot of it starts with the governor. A lot of it starts with Barack Hussein Obama, because that's when people started coming in. And you have to have people come in that are going to love our country, cherish our country. They want to kiss our country goodnight. They talk about our country. We want them to pray for our country. This is not the people living in Minnesota.
So let me ask all of you, because the backlash has been ferocious against Trump by the liberals, by the media, by the Democrats. So far, the Republicans are either silent or they're standing by Trump for now. So my question to you is this: did Trump cross the line? Did Trump not just say the illegals should be kicked out of Minnesota, but what he's saying is that there are some cultures that just are not compatible with the West and not compatible with the American way of life? That in the end, some countries or some cultures from some countries are a net minus when it comes to immigration, and those aren't the kinds of groups we should welcome into our country. He's now imposed an immigration freeze, a moratorium on immigration from 19 countries around the world. Somalia is one of the 19. He wants to expand it to maybe as many as 30. Is Trump right or is Trump wrong? Andrew in Taunton. Thanks for holding, Andrew, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeffrey. I will tell you this. I am 100% in agreement with President Trump, but he had said a couple of days ago that we are at a tipping point. I believe we are at a tipping point in this country. We can no longer absorb the millions, hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants. What strain is that they put on this country with $38 million and $38 trillion in debt. And most of it, a lot of it, is because of illegal immigration. You know, President Reagan said years ago that if fascism comes to the United States, it'll come under the name of liberalism. I believe that. It's here. And I think we are very close to losing this country. If we don't get the midterm elections, if we lose them, all this and all, but I think Trump has the guts, the chutzpah. I agree with what he said. And I think we're in deep trouble, Jeff. I mean, every single major city when I was a kid growing up here in Massachusetts is overrun. It's overrun. Most of them look like third world countries. If you drive down in main streets in these cities, you know, we gave the country away. And that was told to me by an old gentleman who was in World War II. A guy was like a father to me. He said to me, he said, you know, he goes, this is in 97. He said, we gave this country away. And he was absolutely right. So I don't know what we can do, but I think we are at a tipping point. When I see guys like Jacketless Jim Jordan and all these committees that do absolutely nothing, they just stand by and do nothing, and Trump's doing all the fighting, we got some serious problems, Jeffrey.
Well, you know, Andrew, look, I got to tell you, I think we have given our country away. I think there's no question. And I think we are now becoming slowly a third world country. And that's what Trump is saying. He says, look, this may be our last shot. You invite the third world, you become the third world. It's just a fact. And you keep bringing in, and these are illegals now. They're looking at over 30, as many as 40 million illegal aliens in our country. No country on earth can sustain this. It's bankrupting our welfare system. It's bankrupting our hospitals. It's bankrupting our schools. It's bankrupting local budgets. You're right. We're at $38 trillion in debt. We're going broke. I'm sorry. And, if they were assimilating and, really wanting to be an American and really contribute to the United States, okay. I mean, fine. Maybe we could work something out. But what Trump is saying is, just look at him. Look at Ilhan Omar. Does this look to you like a loyal American? When she gives speech after speech in Somali, with the Somalian president, the president of Somalia, literally 2 feet away from her, and this is as a member of Congress in a packed room in Minneapolis, and she says, he's my president. This is the man I'm loyal to. And Somalia is the country I'm loyal to. And I will always put the interests of Somalia above that of the United States. She's caught on tape. I'm not going to get into the Jew hatred, the anti-Semitism, her going on about white people and how white people are a curse on history. Okay, I don't want to get into that. Or the fact that she's an open Islamist terrorist sympathizer, starting with al-Shabaab in Somalia. But I can go on. Hamas, Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, 9/11. She mocked us. In a speech, she said we had it coming. And one other time, infamously, what are you guys blaming Islam for what happened on 9/11? According to her, some people did something. And that showed her contempt. 3,000 dead Americans for her is something. Like what? What? Like you hit a deer with your car. Some people did something. What's wrong with you? It was a nothing. The Twin Towers crashing to the ground? Our Pentagon attacked? The plane, Flight 93, that was going to either hit Congress or the White House? And they took it down in rural Pennsylvania, those brave men on board and brave women on board that plane? 3,000 dead Americans? And you stand there and you snicker and you jeer and you mock it? And Trump is saying, and she acts like she's better than us? And she keeps running our country down? Lady, I'm not the one that married my brother. You did. I'm not the one that committed, bigamy. You did. I'm not the one that committed immigration fraud. You did. I'm not the grifter and the con artist. You are. So I think there's a certain point, honestly, Andrew, if I'm to be brutally honest, and you know how much I love this country, so please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But like I'm in the confessional, I have to say this. We've lost our self-respect as a nation. We've lost our dignity as a people. No self-respecting people would put up with Portland. And I'm not talking about the crazy mayor and everything. I'm talking about the drugs, the filth, the open air drug markets, the used needles, literally in parks in downtown Portland. To see our fellow citizens, how many of them, you see them all strung out on drugs. My God, like a bunch of zombies. It's like something out of a movie, a dystopian movie. To see our cities dying the way they are. To see our borders overrun. To see our universities and professors going on about how America is the most evil country in the history of the world. Are you insane? And by the way, even now, under Donald Trump, with the border sealed and with ICE cracking down on illegals, we still let in about 1 million immigrants a year, legal. 1 million every year. Every year. We still allow in more immigrants than any country in the world. No one has been better to immigrants than the United States. And if we're going to get into the weeds just for a second, I promise I'm coming right back to you, Andrew. You tell me, I'm serious. Here's the question I have for every liberal. And now they're really going to hate me, okay? Tell me, is life better for a Somali in America or in Somalia? Where is it better? Here or in Somalia? Cuba, here or in Cuba? Venezuela, here or in Venezuela? Mexico, here or in Mexico? I don't care. Take your country in Africa. Pick it. I don't care. Sierra Leone, Sudan. Take your pick. Is it better here for people, say, from Sudan? Is it better here or is it better in Africa? Oh, America's a racist country. Really? How racist can it be? If you're better off here, every country in the world, you are better off here than in your native country. I'm talking to the immigrants. So tell me, how racist can we be? And it doesn't matter how successful many of these groups are. They keep claiming, or at least their leaders claim, racism, racism. Liberals keep claiming racism, racism. So here it is. I'm going to put it out there. Name me one other country, not in the world, in human history that has ever been better to immigrants than the United States. You can't name one. You can't. Where they've been freer, richer, more prosperous, had more opportunities for social economic mobility. Now, by the way, you never talk about the racism in their countries. You see, that they never talk about. Because if you went to Somalia, for example, forget hating whites, forget hating Jews, they hate each other on a tribal basis. Look at Rwanda, the Hutus and the Tutsis. In a matter of 3 weeks, they slaughtered 8,000 of each other. Sorry, what am I saying? 8,000. 800,000. 800,000. They slaughter each other with impunity. And it's not even on race or ethnicity. It's literally based on tribe. India is one of the most racist countries on the face of the planet. China, one of the most racist countries on the face of the planet. But notice, they never mention that. It's always America bad, America bad, America bad, when in fact America is nothing but great, great, great. Now, are we perfect? No. Why? Because human beings aren't perfect. But in human recorded history, no country has been better than the United States. No country. I'm sorry. It's just a fact. Now, I'm done. I'm done. Trump is done, MAGA is done, and the American heartland is done. We're done. We're not, we never said America was perfect, but it's the best. And I don't think you're going to get better. You're not going to get better than what we've done in this country. You're not, I'm telling you. So, it's now a time to choose. America, love it or leave it. That's it. I'm done. So, to the Somalis in Minneapolis, to Ilhan Omar, is your allegiance to America or to Somalia? If it's to Somalia, there's the freaking door. Out. Out. But you see, they love Somalia. She pledges allegiance to Somalia, but they take our welfare. They take our money. Then they love us. They'll take our... You see, they hate us, but we're good enough for them to take our money from. That, to me, is what's disgusting. If you're going to be on freaking welfare, and you're going to be at Target and Walmart shopping all day, or whatever it is you do, or go to your local mosque and pray on the loudspeaker at 3 or 4 in the morning, at a minimum, say thank you. At a minimum. At a minimum. But no. There she is. Again, I can play the cut. Racist, xenophobic, Islamophobic. That's all she knows how to play. That's all. Whine, complain, bitch, moan. The woman is a freaking ingrate. I'm sorry, she's a traitor. She's a traitor. Who'd be living in a hut in Somalia if we sent her back. Instead, she lives in a swanky condo in Washington, D.C. It's a multi-million-dollar condo. She came from a freaking refugee camp, and you're living in a multi-million-dollar condo. You think, I'm just saying, if you were a human being with a shred of decency, you'd say, wow, what a country. What a country. I mean, I'm barely literate, and I'm a member of Congress. I was in a freaking refugee camp starving. They were going to murder me and my family. And America took me in. And not only did America take me in, my God, I'm a member of Congress. You think any other non-Somali who lives in Somalia can be a member of their... I don't even think they have a functioning parliament, but let's just say they did. You think any one of them could become a major member of parliament in Somalia? And have a swanky condo in Mogadishu? So enough is enough. Enough is enough. We're too generous. I'm telling you, this is our sin. We're too generous. We're too tolerant. We've lost our self-respect. When you come into my home and I welcome you like a brother and a sister and I lay out the red carpet for you, and then you walk into my living room, forgive me, and you start peeing everywhere. You start urinating on my couch and telling me that my house stinks and my food stinks and my wife stinks and everything about my home is sucks. Then I'm sorry. Out. Get out. You're a freaking ingrate. And that's what she's doing. She's urinating all over us. So, no, I'm done. I'm done with her. And I think it's time we as a country said, no, we're done. No, that's it. No, we're done. We're done. Out. Out. Andrew, final word to you. Honestly, am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely 100% right. I just wonder how the hell we got here. And to the people of Minnesota, see what happens in the next few days. If don't forget that Waltz was the guy who sent the police into your neighborhoods during COVID, telling you to get off your front porch or you're going to be arrested with guns drawn. So that's the kind of guy this guy is. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. And they were shooting at the front porch. They used rubber bullets.
They were shooting at people. So, like I said, I think I see something really bad happening there, and I think it's going to be an ugly situation. But yeah, we have to fight back. We can't go on like this anymore. Like I said, Jeff, in closing, we gave this country away, and that's the truth.
We're going to take it back. That's the Trump presidency. That's MAGA in a nutshell. We're taking our country back. That's it. No apologies. Andrew, thank you very much for that call. Look, and I'm sorry, I can't. Here I stand, I can do no other. Okay? I'm sorry, I have to say this. We have to regain our pride as a people and as a country. We have to regain our self-respect. So, I'm sorry. We're not the world's ATM. We're not the world's charity. We're not the Red Cross for the entire world. I'm sorry, we're not. Now, we're a generous people to our credit, yes, and we should be proud of that. But there's a certain point where you start to embarrass yourself. And I think we've crossed that line a long time ago. So, no, look, I don't allow anybody to just come into my home. I have a right to decide who can come into my home. It is the same thing with our homeland, our country. We have a right to decide who should come into our homeland, who should come into our home. It's not racist. It's not xenophobic. It's called life. It's reality. It's truth. It's self-respect. It's called freedom and sovereignty. We're a free nation, a free people, a sovereign nation. So we should have an immigration policy that benefits America, not the world, but America. Okay, I just want to read this text. By the way, you can text the Kuhner Man, 70470, 70470. This is from 781. And it's a long text, so I'm going to shorten it. Basically, 781 says that the claims that Ilhan Omar married her brother so he could immigrate to the United States and that she assisted her brother to unlawfully secure in-state tuition and loans, that this has been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. There's no arguing this. It's irrefutable. But 781 says, but the central argument, so he says that's grounds, or whatever, 781 says that's grounds to revoke her citizenship right there. But he says there's more. The central argument to revoke her status and send her back to Somalia leads back to her father. Whatever ambiguity may surround her involvement with her brother's fraud, and the 781 says it's reason enough to deport her. Her father's high leadership in a murderous Marxist gang is unequivocal and without challenge. There is ample sworn evidence that Ilhan Omar's father personally tortured many political opponents, and that he withheld his warlord past from U.S. immigration officials when he came into the United States and brought his daughter, Ilhan Omar, with him. Had he not committed this fraud of hiding his true identity, he would have never been granted entry into the United States. And since his minor daughter, Ilhan's entry, was a direct consequence of the fraud, hers is also illegitimate. No less than if a child possessed the loot of a parent's bank robbery. And who could not argue that American citizenship is more valuable than a bank bag of cash? Ilhan Omar is quite literally the fruit of a poison and violent tree, and must be stripped of her naturalized citizenship immediately because of these multiple frauds. And if she is not, Homeland Security is nothing more than PR bluster. 781, you're a genius. Everything Trump said about Ilhan Omar yesterday was 1,000% true. Add that in the father, her father, and his crimes, and what he did, personally torturing his political opponents, and that he lied about his past to come into the United States and brought Ilhan Omar with him. On all of these grounds, she has to have her natural citizenship revoked. If Homeland Security won't do it, then I'm telling you, 781 is right. This is all talk. This is all PR bluster. She's got to go. She's got to go. Period. Full stop. Brian in Randolph. Thanks for holding, Brian, and welcome.
Well, yeah.
Hi, Brian.
Hi. Yeah. So the thing is that when you're talking about Haiti, the religious is called Santa Christos, I think it is. It's sort of a combination of voodoo and Christian. But the thing is that what most people don't know history, and I know you do, that you know what mosques were used for, right? Mosques were used for marking territory that the Muslims took over. And the more mosques you had, the more country or part of the country that they take over. And I think we've forgotten this, because of our tolerance. Okay, when churches are built, they help the indigenous population to try to educate them and stuff like that. When mosques were created, it's telling them, we control you now. Good luck.
No, Brian, I think you're completely right. The fact now, I didn't know this. Jerry in Cape Cod mentioned it a couple hours ago. He taught me something. I didn't know that there were mosques now in Haiti, now as many as, 29, almost 30 mosques. And I'm like, this is stunning because, there's a big Haitian community, long story short, in Montreal. It's gotten even bigger than when I was growing up. And so I know a lot of Haitians. I grew up with them. They're wonderful people, salt of the earth. And yeah, it's either they're Catholics and very devout Catholics, or there's that kind of voodoo, indigenous voodoo, which frankly I didn't see much of when I was in Montreal. But the point is, when Jerry said, there's mosques in Haiti, I'm like, I don't think there's one Haitian Muslim. I'm like, why would they be building mosques? And you nailed it. When Islam comes and builds a mosque, that's saying they're marking territory. Once a mosque is built on that land, they claim that land. And so what they're saying now is we're moving aggressively into the Caribbean. We're moving into Haiti. I'm sure Dominican Republic is going to be next. And then we're going to just go right down the Caribbean. And so we're not just establishing a foothold in Canada and in the United States. They now want to push aggressively across the Western Hemisphere. I think there's no question. That was their policy in the Balkans for hundreds and hundreds of years. They went to Greece, they built a mosque, they claimed Greece. They went into Serbia, built a mosque, they claimed Serbia. They went into Bulgaria, Romania, they built mosques there, they claimed Bulgaria and Romania. So that's literally the historical operation of Islam. That's how they operate. So, look, they're not playing around. So we have to get serious and wake up before it's too late. Okay, Caitlin on Messenger asks me, Jeff, how is it possible in the United States that a woman can marry her brother? Like, how does this happen? Well, Caitlin, it's even worse than that. Not only did Ilhan Omar marry her brother, and that was just to get him a visa so he can come into the United States, okay? So it was fraud. The whole thing was fraud. She was married to another man at the time. And she had children with that man. And by the way, she was filing tax returns. You know, like a joint filing with her husband, the real one. And then she still married her brother. So not only is she committing incest by marrying the brother, you know, at least on paper. I don't know what went behind closed doors, but I'm just saying on paper. But she's also committing bigamy. Like it's a twofer. Ay, ay, ay. Like I'm telling you, ay, ay, ay. And the only answer the left and the media has when you bring, and these are all undisputed facts, is racist. That's it. That's their argument. Racist. Well, okay. So I just go, okay, fine. Call me a racist. Fine. How is this legal? Like, how does she not get her citizenship revoked? How is this not naked, blatant fraud? Eddie in Maine. Thanks for holding, Eddie, and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Kuhner man. Eddie, Sebago Lake, Maine. How are you?
Good. How are you, Eddie?
I just call it's a roundabout question I'm going to give you, but isn't England and France a nuclear power?
Yes.
And aren't they being taken over by the Muslims? Another 10 or 15 years old, 10 or 15 years from now, they're literally going to take the country over, are they not?
Yes.
And one other question I wanted to ask you. Can't President Trump put a RICO act against Biden, Barack Obama, Hillary, and freeze all their accounts, all their money coming in, so they can't function? You got to go after these people. He's got so much on his plate. I don't know how I don't know how any way, shape, or form he can do it. You know, not just the Omar. He's got all the politicians are just as bad as him.
Well, no, Eddie, you're right. Look, in theory, he could definitely do a RICO and he would get them all because they're all dirty. I'm not trying to be glib about this. I think what's happening in Minnesota is disgusting. I think it's a scandal. I think it's a crime. To me, it turns my stomach. But compared to what Obama did and what Hillary did and what Pelosi did and what Biden did, this is small potatoes. I mean, really, it's small potatoes. You know, think of this as the Soviet Union. Tim Walz is some apparatchik. That's what Tim Walz is. You know, he's like some commie governor of Mongolia during the Soviet Union. He's not the Politburo, you know, the really high ups. Obama, Hillary, Joey. That's the Politburo. That's the real leadership. And they don't take small money. They take big money. I mean, we're talking world-class corruption. So you're right. You can get them. They're political gangsters. And the way RICO was used to get the mob, you can get now the political mob, the political mafia. But Trump's got so much on his plate. Look, honestly, with Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino, there's going to be no RICO. I'm praying they're going to re-indict Comey this week. That's all I'm please, my fingers crossed. Please, get somebody, anybody. So, that's what we're dealing with, Eddie. But no, you're dead on. Now, as for your first point, you're right. That's a very serious danger. France is, I think, more in danger of that than England. There's only about 4 million Muslims. A lot of them are in London. That's why London is now called Londonistan. But outside of London, you don't have that many Muslims. In France, it's a different story. In southern France, an army of Muslims. Paris, an army of Muslims. So the Islamization of France is much more progressed in that country than in England. And you give it another 30, 40 years with the current rate, the demographic rates of demography, France is going to be a Muslim country. They are on the path to becoming a majority Muslim country, which means then not only will a major European power be a Muslim power, but it will also be a Muslim nuclear power. And Islam, by the way, already has the bomb. People forget about this. Pakistan, as Obama likes to call them. Pakistan has the nuclear bomb. And that occurred under Bill Clinton. Clinton was the one who gave Pakistan the bomb. So that's what the Democrats do. The Democrats appease and appease and appease the march of radical Islam. So that's how it is. So they have one nuclear power already, which is Pakistan. Iran was on the verge of becoming the second one, and I think the more dangerous one. But Trump at least bombed the nuclear facilities and temporarily stopped that. And Saudi Arabia has the means to create a bomb. They can do it in 3 months. People forget this, but one of the reasons why Trump almost had no choice but to bomb the Iranian nuclear program was the Saudis told Trump, if Iran gets the bomb, because remember, Iran is a Shia power. Saudi Arabia is a Sunni power. And that's where Mecca and Medina are located in Saudi Arabia. So those are the most holiest sites for Islam. So there's a rivalry between the Sunnis and the Shias. And it's really between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And the Saudis said, if Iran goes nuclear, we go nuclear. And so you'd launch now a regional nuclear arms race. And so now you'd have multiple Muslim countries with a nuclear bomb. And Trump is like, my God, the world's heading towards Armageddon. And that's why he almost had no choice but to take out Iran's nuclear facilities. So, and thank the Lord. I believe he saved the world. So, again, I believe he saved the world multiple times. But this time with Iran, I think there's no question. So you're completely right, Eddie. That's why the Europeans have to cut off all immigration from the Muslim world. If they don't, they're finished. Eddie, thank you so much for that call. Dr. Chuck in Drake. Thanks for holding, Dr. Chuck, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, just a few points. So, I was born and raised in England in a suburb of London. And when my parents immigrated from India there, I think we were pretty much the only, quote-unquote Indian family in that town. And my parents and my brother, we acclimated. We never had a lick of racism, a lick of, a dirty eye towards us or anything like that. And so number of years later, because I still have family that live in England, I said to them, and they live in Windsor, and I was not born and raised in Windsor. And I said, hey, I want to go back to where I was born to see if my friends are still there. And they're like, yeah, you can't go back there. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, because it's been taken over by Somalis. I'm like, yeah. So I took the train, I went there, and the whole town, which used to be a beautiful town off the Piccadilly line, it was probably like 90% Somalian, and it was dangerous. Like, it was crazy. And so I stayed there for like 1 or 2 hours, saw my friends, and I got the hell out. And the reason I called today, because yesterday I heard what Mags was saying. I have a camp up in Maine by Auburn, and that area now has been taken over by Somalians too. Just in a quick example, there's a Walmart up there, and everybody who is from there will know. And they employ a few Somalians. let me tell you something. I went in there a few months ago. I was going to get some fishing lures. The Somalians who worked there were so nasty. I asked like a few questions. A, I don't think they spoke English. B, they were giving everybody the stink eye. And what really broke my heart, and I was telling my wife this, was that, that area was an impoverished, white area. And so what did they do to not bring it up? They brought in like third world immigrants who have no assimilation just to deteriorate it even more. And it's all by design. And the thing is, Jeff, just my last point, they can't acclimate. What used to drive me absolutely crazy when I was in England, and even here, is I see these like immigrants come from India or somewhere like that. I see them walking around with their saris. I feel like pulling my hair out of my head. I'm like, if you want to wear your stinking sari, go back to India. The beauty of this country is that people assimilated. They didn't have to be the same, but they assimilated into a common culture, which is one of the beauties of America. And when these people, like especially like let's say with the Somalians or even with the Indians, they're still wearing their native garb. And I'm not talking like for a wedding. I'm talking like every single day. Like you're not trying to assimilate. You are trying to import your culture or your values here. And the fact that you can't learn the language, I'm not telling you to go out and, eat pork ribs or, drink beer in a bar, but there is a fabric to this country and it's not confined to Somalians, that a lot of immigrants and unfortunately a lot of people from my ethnicity, they don't want.
Dr. Chuck, can you do me? This is an incredible call. Okay, I want to go right back to Dr. Chuck in Drake-it. Dr. Chuck, fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I'm a little surprised, and this is why I'm a little surprised by what you said about how some Indians are not assimilating or don't want to assimilate. I don't know if you're aware of this, but these official government statistics, and they look at each ethnic group in the United States. And of course, that includes, European Americans or, different Americans of European descent. So that includes whites, blacks, people, are brown, whatever the skin color is. The number one ethnic group that is the most successful per capita in terms of income, it's not what people think. It's not, Norwegian Americans or whatever, traditional, Anglo, whatever, British, English Americans. It's Indian Americans. Indian Americans are literally the number one wealthiest per capita ethnic group in the entire United States. In fact, outside of Jews, and I think the Jews are ranked number 8 or number 9. And by the way, Nigerian Americans are number 10. So they've done very well for themselves in America. Outside of the Jews, who I consider white, but anyway, outside of the Jews, white Americans are number 17. They're literally number 17 in terms of per capita income. So what I'm saying is it's kind of a backhanded way of going to going into this, but my doctor is Indian, or one of my doctors is Indian. I have a lot of friends who are Indian, frankly, both when I was in D.C. and here. Their English is incredible. Many of them are from India. They speak extremely well. They got a very good education system back home. They're very literate. They assimilate. They're very successful. They're very hardworking. They're very mobile. To me, the way they dress, the way they talk, the way they act, they seem perfectly assimilated. So I'm a little surprised. So could you just elaborate a little bit when you say there are now newer immigrants from India that aren't dressing Western or aren't dressing American and they're resisting assimilation? Is that just the newer wave of immigrants, or is it something you've noticed going back decades?
Jeff, I'll put it to you this way. A few years ago, my wife and I had to go up, and I know this is a little bit different, but we had to go up to Toronto for a wedding, your neck of the woods. And we went up there, we were eating at a place, and I was looking at like the Canadian broadcasting, the news that was on there.
Yeah, CBC.
And under the chyron, CBC. And under the chyron there, it was showing, so-and-so, got stabbed and all the stuff, And in America, if you still have that kind of problem, you'll see like John Smith accused of stabbing wife. The chyron there was like Ravindra Patel and all these, like, all these Indian names, because the problem is if these people are idle, and that's the main thing, they're not assimilating, what do you get into? You get into drugs, you get into violence and so forth like that. To answer your question, last week, after that Jasmine Crockett said, like, there was this, what's it called, Epstein, that contributed to these Republicans and stuff like that. I went under a bunch of Indian names under that thing where you can look up who did donations. Jeff, let me tell you something. 95% of those people sent money to Act Blue. And let me tell you, I'm a physician. I work in the medical field. These guys are all liberals, and when you go to like our temple or something like that, these guys. This is the last thing I'll say. I went to our temple a few years ago, and there was a big sign on the door that says you don't have to open the door if ICE comes knocking. This is like 2021 or something like that, or 2020, and I was furious. And I went to the priest and I was like, what is this nonsense? Why are you trying to teach people that it is appropriate to be illegal or to not respect the authority of this country? So, Jeff, I think what you're talking about is two different things. Sure, Indians know how to make money. They know how to, acclimate into that system. But their allegiance, in my opinion, is never particularly with the country. If the economy went sour, I would never leave this country. This is my country. They would just move on to somewhere else. And that's how I feel, because I can't say I'm really part of that community because I don't assimilate with those people anymore. But what I did see was that it was more of an economic assimilation more than a cultural assimilation into being an American.
Fascinating. Honestly fascinating. Wow, Dr. Chuck. Dr. Chuck, please call more often. Don't be a stranger. Dr. Chuck, wow, what a call. Thank you so much. I had no idea. Dear boy, he's just opened my eyes. Okay, let's get one more in. Tom, red, white, and blue dynamite baby in New Jersey. Tom, I hate to do this to you, my friend. I've got 1 minute. The floor is yours. Go.
Jeff Kuhner speaking. Truth to power. It's red, white, and blue dynamite, baby. Jeff, Pam Bondi, we need some impact prosecutions, not just indictments. Come on with the Ilhan Omar. She's an immigration fraud case. Come on, step up to the plate. Start opening that immigration case. It's a pushback, a nonviolent pushback against the Islamification of the United States, Jeff. She's got to do it. Come on, let's go.
Tom, great way to end the show, my friend. God bless you. Okay, this story's not going anywhere, believe me. Now, as I'm speaking to you now, Admiral Frank Mitch Bradley is testifying behind closed doors. There's going to be immense fallout from this about the second strike. He was the commander who oversaw the operation. I'm going to keep my eye on that as well.